God's Word Express.
When we think about explosive growth, we usually picture like overnight success. But welcome to this deep dive. Today we're opening up the notes you sent us on Pastor Dr. Kavin's series, Explosive Growth in Ministry.
Yeah, specifically his first episode on church growth at New Wine International Church. And our mission today is really to explore his counterintuitive blueprint for building a massive community.
Right. It turns out it's less like engineering a viral moment and more like, planting a durian tree. You put the seed in the ground and literally wait 5 years for a single fruit.
Exactly. It completely flips our modern expectations. I mean, you don't just scream at a durian tree after 2 years for not producing.
No, you'd look completely crazy.
Right. You have to understand its nature and plant the right seeds. But to even get to that planting stage, we first have to look at the person who is actually holding the shovel.
Yeah, and that brings up a really foundational point from Pastor Kevin about leadership. He argues that taking a pastoral course doesn't automatically mean someone has the true calling to lead.
Which makes total sense. I mean, studying law doesn't make you a successful lawyer on its own.
Exactly. So how does a leader actually know if they have this genuine calling?
Well, he describes this using the concept of the seal of apostleship. It isn't just, a certificate you hang on your wall. It's the visible, fruitful result of your work.
Oh, so the proof is in the pudding, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Pastor Kevin points to the ancient story of King Uzziah. Uzziah built these massive armies and cities, but his success wasn't just because he had great strategy. It was because he had genuine divine backing.
Right. The underlying mechanism is that a true calling comes with miraculous help.
Yes. And if you try to force leadership without that foundation, the work just becomes this agonizing, burnout-inducing burden.
So resilience and actual results are the real indicators, not just raw effort. But, if a leader does have that foundation, the instinct is usually to just get as many people in the door as possible.
Oh, for sure.
Like offer free food, pay for their camps, make everyone incredibly comfortable just to pump those attendance numbers up.
But Pastor Kevin gives a really stark warning against exactly that approach. He urges leaders not to become, in his words, a Christian soup kitchen.
A Christian soup kitchen. Wow.
Yeah. If a community relies entirely on handouts to cater to passive consumers, they might get a huge crowd, but they won't build a lasting foundation.
Right.
He uses Jesus as an example. Jesus didn't spend his primary time just entertaining the masses. Instead, he focused on making disciples who could multiply.
Which totally shifts the focus from addition to multiplication. A crowd shows up to eat the bread, but a disciple learns how to bake it and, teach others to bake it.
That is the core of it, yeah. True growth stems from finding zealous individuals who create that multiplication effect.
Like the 120 early disciples waiting in an upper room that he references.
Exactly. They weren't there for a free meal. They were highly committed, and that level of dedication is what sparks exponential growth.
But capturing that zeal is really only step one, right? The real challenge is keeping those highly motivated people engaged without totally micromanaging them.
And you do that by literally inventing jobs for them.
Wait, inventing jobs?
Yeah. Pastor Kevin deliberately creates new ministries so people have ownership. At one point, he even bought a drone just so 4 or 5 people could be designated drone pilots for their media team.
Wait, really? But
Yeah.
if you're just making up jobs for everyone who walks in the door, doesn't that turn into absolute chaos?
It totally would, unless you balance that extreme inclusion with extreme boundaries.
Okay, how so?
Well, he relies on a principle from Ephesians 4.16, the idea that a community is like a body that only functions when every single part is doing its specific work. But to keep those moving parts from colliding, you need rigid rules.
Right, you need structure.
Exactly. He strongly warns against being a spineless pastor. For example, if a highly talented diva singer walks in, they don't just go straight to the stage.
Oh, I bet they hate that.
Oh, I'm sure. They have to wait 6 months and serve in the background first.
Wow, so literally no one is above the system. That definitely prevents toxic politics while keeping things fair.
Yeah. But enforcing that system requires a leader to step back. There's this story in your notes where Pastor Kevin was working with a volunteer, and after sending edits back and forth 5 times at 3 a.m., he just gave up.
He just let the volunteer's flawed version stand?
He did. The psychology there is profound, really. Building a 100-year company or a lasting community requires you to let people make mistakes.
Because the emotional difficulty of letting a volunteer fail on a 3 a.m. project is real, but the ultimate goal is training people, right? Not achieving a flawless product on day one.
Exactly. You just have to refuse to micromanage.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We spend so much time analyzing if we are planting the right seeds or watering them correctly. But perhaps the better question is, are you even planting them in the right soil?
Yeah. Or are you trying to force a durian tree to grow in a desert of passive consumers?
Right. And if you stepped away from your community today, would it have the roots to keep multiplying, or would it just wither without you constantly hovering over it?
A tough but really necessary question to chew on as you evaluate your own communities.
God bless you.